Physicalism, the effort to understand the human mind. For centuries people have been trying to master the physical world and the mental faculties of the average human being. The task has been proven the most difficult of all attempts to improve quality of life on Earth. Philosophers have long ago thought about and wrote papers on this very topic, which is called physicalism by people who explore this particular school of thought. Physicalism is a branch of philosophy in which the philosophers contemplate the idea that the mind doesn't exist and the brain is responsible for all mental events. The purpose of this paper is to show how physicalists are thinking too physically in their desire to understand reality. Physicalism is a broad subject. I'm not going to examine all of physicalism, only a few select parts of the study, namely, identity theory, functionalism and eliminative materialism. Although all three are under the umbrella of physicalism, they vary in very significant ways. These theories can lead to an uncaring and cruel society, the likes of which will make today's uncaring and cruel society seem like a Sunday afternoon picnic. Imagine a world where you're lethally injected or worse sterilized because you had a flaw like being overweight or having a speech impediment, only out of fear that your offspring will possess the same inadequacy. Besides the aforementioned, things that weren't problems before will become problems. They'll start euthanize short people or unattractive people, or people who have challenges in math. I mean, where does it end? These theories nonetheless have a place in certain studies of the human condition such as medicine or physics, but need to be excluded from decisions about the well-being of an individual or a society. Identity theory and philosophy of mind says when someone experiences a mental event even as small as a thought, when they have the same thought again, those same neurons in the brain would activate, making an exact correlation between those neurons and the thought itself. So if I have a thought of my car, the only way I can think of my car again is by those same neurons in my brain. The immediate problem I see with the theory is with all of the things to remember in life seems like you would run out of space. Even with limited knowledge on the subject, the process of living and dreaming and thinking is a lot more complicated than what is stated in this theory. In a paper called An Argument for the Identity Theory, the author makes mention of the fact that situations can arise that don't fit the parameters of the theory. He states, "It is just impossible to cover some atypical cases of experiences behavioristically, the case of a perfect actor pretending to have an experience he does not really have, and the case of a total paralytic who cannot manifest any experience he does have." Lewis 22. The theory is an attempt to put the processes of the brain and how we perceive those processes in terms of only the physical world. Functionalism is a very similar theory that states that it's not certain neurons that activate, it's patterns of neurons that create physical sensations that we interpret as a mental event. In this theory, it can be a different set of neurons in the same pattern producing the same thought or sensation or experience in the mind of a person. Moreover, a functionalist believes that it doesn't matter what the brain is made of. The theory is the brain should still work because the connections in the brain are still functional. Hence the term functionalism. Eliminative materialism is an acceptance of the fact that the mind cannot be understood by way of the mental, so certain theories are deemed unusable, and becomes a matter of neurology. They understand the laws and standards of the physical world, so they'll use those standards to understand the human mind. It's a complete abandonment of the mental or spiritual component. Eliminative materialism was described in a book by Paul Churchland, a professor of philosophy, intended as an improvement on functionalism and identity theory. He also believed in intertheoretic reduction, a process where a theory or belief will gradually be replaced by another over time. With the scourge of intertheoretic reduction affecting the world of science, eliminative materialism is his answer to these problems. It seems easier dealing with the things you can see, touch, taste or smell, and possibly that's why physicalism is even discussed. There is a phrase on Wikipedia that says eliminativists argue that modern belief in the existence of mental phenomena is analogous to the ancient belief in obsolete theories such as the geocentric model of the universe. Wiki 1. How can one deny the mental when they experience the mental themselves? The point of this paper was to show that physicalists are thinking too physically about the human mind and the thoughts it experiences. You can't explain it in physical terms. Why? Because it's mental. The truth is, being alive is a physical and a spiritual, mental experience. You can't share the mental experience with the world, although you wish you could. So we must try to share those thoughts in songs, art, literature, myths, folktales etc., in order to pass on the wisdom generated from your life. Hopefully society can learn as much as it wants while keeping everything in perspective. Thank you for watching, and please, like and subscribe.